Hi, my name is Yol, and this is a walkthrough of the PerfectXL Compare tool. This is going to be quite a practical walkthrough where we'll look at some of the functions and features of the Compare tool. If you're looking more for something like a reason to use it for your business, a specific use case of the tool, then I suggest you check out the use cases portion on our website. But for now, I've got the Compare tool open in front of me, and I see the option here to either select or drag and drop in Excel files. If I go ahead and click on the Select option, it'll open my File Explorer. I can use Control-Click to select two files, or I can select one here and then select one on the other side as well. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop in these two demo files that I had ready. Go ahead and drag and drop those in. You'll see currently V1 is on the left and V2 is on the right. What this means is that anything present in V2 that was not present in V1 will be seen as an insertion, and anything not present in V2 that was present in V1 will be seen as a deletion. If I want to turn this around and I want to look at it from the other perspective, I can simply use this arrow right here to flip the two sides. That'll change the way that my changes are presented. For now, I'm happy with V2 on the right. I want V2 to be seen as my newer model. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here, and you'll be able to see that there is a little overview, a sort of summary of everything that has changed between the two versions of the model. See, total differences is 12. These are aggregated differences. We'll take a deeper look at that a little bit later on. And then we see a summary overview of what's actually changed. So I can see there's been some insertions in data and formulas. I've seen some edits in the data, the formulas, the structure, and the VBA code. And I've seen there's some deletions in the data as well. As you can see here, there's a comparison mode. Currently, it's set to Smart. That means that we're tracking any structural changes to the model. So if you insert a row, we'll see that as a true row insert, and therefore everything under it that might have shifted will not be reported as a change because it's not actually impacting the model directly. If you wanted a very basic comparison, which means that cell A1 on sheet 1 is going to be compared to cell A1 on sheet 1 on the other model, you can go ahead and click the settings here, and you can switch to the basic mode. As you'll see, that certain things like formulas inserted will be influenced, but especially these row inserts, deletions, and column inserts and deletions will not be taken into account. So let's stay on Smart for now because that's generally the mode that you want to select. From this summary overview, we could click on one of these boxes to jump directly to the differences overview filtered on that specific change type. So if I was to click here, I would see all the edits in the data, but we'll get to that a little later on in this video. Let's start by going to the second tab we see up here, Worksheets. I'm going to go ahead and open up this legend so we can see exactly what's going on. I can see there will be highlights in my sheets to things that impact the sheet as a whole, things like a new worksheet or an adjusted worksheet. We'll see insertions within the worksheets are green balls, and then we've got edits in yellow and deletions in red, and then we've got these icons for hidden worksheets and protected worksheets as well. Now, if we look at our overview, something that's really valuable here is that we can see that many of our worksheets are not affected at all in this change. So things like these first three, variables and footprint and budget, there's been no impact from the changes made. On the other hand, something like this P&L sheet has not only become unprotected, it used to be protected and no longer, it also has insertions and edits. And I can see that things like this data old sheet have been removed completely, while this email sheet is, has been inserted in the version 2 of the model. If we wanted to jump again to the differences overview and filter specifically on the differences in one specific worksheet, we could do that by just selecting the worksheet in question here as well. Let's hop over to that next tab, the VBA modules. Here we can see any modules in the file. In this case, it's just one, and we can see whether or not they were edited. This looks very similar to that worksheets difference. In this case, we are going to click on it. We're going to go over to the differences tab by doing this, and it will filter directly on VBA code changes. So if I click on this worksheet, I can see indeed I've already applied a filter here. Location is this worksheet, this workbook. We're looking specifically at the VBA changes here. If I click on this overview here, I can see exactly which lines were changed as well. This is unified, so this is all in one view, or I can view them side by side. So for each line, what was the line in version 1 and what is the line in version 2? VBA code changes can be quite complicated, but let's, instead of being on this worksheet, this workbook VBA modules location, let's go over to all locations. This will remove my filter and I can see everything that's changed in the model. Here we see something interesting. We see that each individual change represents a certain number of details. What this means is that we've aggregated changes into logical chunks. So something like a worksheet insert, of course, has influence on multiple cells because there's a lot of data or information on the sheet, in this case, 62 individual details, whereas the actual change made is just an entire worksheet in one go was inserted or was deleted. Let's take an example of this. I can see there's formulas edited in cells C12 to E12. If I go ahead and click on that, it'll open that up for me, and I can indeed see here that this C10 as a plus has been added. This was the formula in version 1, and on the right, I can see the formula in version 2 as well. If I wanted to open up everything to see all of the details, I can click Show All, and it'll open up all these changes so I can see these data changes, for example, or this date change over here, or this VBA change that we looked at earlier. We can view all these changes in the front end of the compare tool, and a big advantage here is that we're also able to link directly to those cells in the individual files. If I click here, it'll open up that V1 to that specific location that we're talking about, in this case, the worksheet P&L, and if I click here, it'll open up that worksheet in version 2. So using this front end has a lot of advantages in actually diving in and viewing those changes. But if you say, I need an export or I need a log or I want to see these changes in Excel, that is also possible. If I go ahead and click export up here, what will happen is we will create an Excel export which contains all the information on what exactly has changed here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up a little bit so we can view it slightly better. Oh, here we go. Here we see a summary overview of what has happened, some information on when the last version was created, by who, how it was edited, how many worksheets were present, how many things have changed. We see this little summary overview of what's actually changed between the two versions. Some people like to use just this summary as sort of a change log or something to track the differences between two files, and we see all of those differences. We've got the values in version 1 in one column and the values in version 2 on another column. If you scroll through this, you will see all of those individual changes represented. This is just a full table with everything that's changed between the two versions of the file. Easy to quickly read, export, send to somebody else, and in this way, you've got a complete overview of everything that's changed between two versions of an Excel spreadsheet. This has been the walkthrough of the PerfectXL Compare tool.